The final passage reads, "On that field of the transpired, darkness will prevail and light expire." This world is full of light. It's a world comprised of many smaller worlds, all connected, stretching as far as the eye can see. One great light protects us all. All worlds share one light, one fate. I take it you're talking about Kingdom Hearts.
Yep. In ancient times, people believed that light was a gift from an unseen land by the name of Kingdom Hearts. But Kingdom Hearts was safeguarded by its counterpart, the Keyblade. Warriors vied for that precious light, thus beginning the Keyblade War. All of this was decided.
You really think you can change the future?
All of this was decided.
The truth is what you see with your eyes, not what you hear. Sounds like your trip around the world opened your eyes, but you got a little bit more than you anticipated. You must have seen a lot of darkness. So you're saying the weak feel the need to justify their actions to maintain a sense of self. You can't let that slide. You can't let that slide. I suppose letting false light dictate the future might be a pretty lousy move. So, you can make a change. You have that power. What do you want for the world? You believe the world needs you. Sounds like you already know where you're headed. If you truly possess great power, the darkness can't control you.
All of this was decided.
You really think you can change the future?
All of this was decided.
The truth is what you see with your eyes, not what you hear.
All of this was decided.
Why not just sit back and watch it play out?
All of this was decided.
May your heart be your guiding key. Who are you really? Some kind of fortune teller? Well, I could lie, tell you that's what I am, when I'm actually a brilliant artist, even a scholar. I could tell you that I dream of world peace, when I'm actually planning for its destruction. The truth is what you see with your eyes, not what you hear.
All of this was decided.
You really think you can change the future?
All of this was decided.
The truth is what you see with your eyes, not what you hear.
All of this was decided.
Why not just sit back and watch it play out?
All of this was decided.
May your heart be your guiding key. May your heart be your guiding key.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Landy Lodge. Episode 201 is upon us, and I bring to you some amazing guests. But before we get into that, we got to thank the people who make it all possible. The amazing, beautiful sages of the lodge, the beautiful names you see up on your screen right here, are the YouTube channel members or people who donate directly to keep my nonsense going. But anyway, we have some new ones. Jacob Becker and Crystal Randall are two of our newest sages. Shout out to Hipster Roxas on Twitch for following and hitting us with that Prime subscription. Gotta love that. I see we got a lot of early birds in here, so I guess, without further ado, I think it's time we introduce today's amazing guests. You know them, you love them. They're part of the sickos and the normies. We got Kokiri and Treehouse in the lodge today. Boys, what's going on? How are you? Why can't I hear you guys? Did you unmute yourselves? Unmute yourselves. Usually I'm the one who
I'm
forgets.
doing pretty swell. What's going on, y'all? Thanks for inviting me.
Dude, of course, you know you're always welcome here. Anytime we talk anything remotely Zelda, remotely Nintendo, Mario, you know we gotta have you in the lodge. Tree, you're still muted, my friend. I don't know if that's intentional. If you're sparing us,
No,
there he is.
I think my computer's just glitching out. I said for because I'll say it again. What a time to be alive. But yeah, thanks for having me on, man. I really appreciate it.
Dude, you know, I gotta give just one more quick shout out before we start. The reason we've all come together is actually Lands of Masters. So Lands messaged me randomly and he's like, "Hey, I got a talking point for you." And I was like, "All right, shoot." And he says, 2023 might have been Nintendo's best year ever. And I thought about it for a little while, and I'm not sure I necessarily agree, but I do think it's one of their best years of all time. Not just financially, I think the quality of the product they put out. Also, I think this is one of their better years, especially in the last decade. So before we get into some of our favorite games from the year, maybe some of our biggest letdowns of the year, overall as a year, how does 2023 Nintendo reflect on you guys?
The thing is, though, it's like I think it's obviously been fantastic, but you can't let Nintendo know that, because it also, like, it kind of scares me with how well they're doing. Like, I know that sounds pretty negative. Like, they have done so much, like, renovation with their brand from the Switch. Like, I think the Wii U was, like, just a huge wake-up call at the perfect time for them to do things they didn't want to do. And I think that's kind of why they've been, like, really successful recently. And I don't want to, like, just quote because of the Mario movie, but I think they built so much momentum into the Switch's lifespan leading up to this year that when they released the movie, it's like all the work they did, they let people know who Nintendo really was while all of these games were available at this time. So it's also, like, another way of big exposure. It's like, it's way cheaper to go to the movies than it is to buy a game, right? So it's like, if you get all these people into the series, or even a smaller bit, to know who Nintendo is and what Mario is and what that means, I think they, like, obviously won from the income they made from the movie, but they're just, like, they're killing it everywhere right now. So the momentum is from the Switch is kind of slowing down, but in terms of, like, the company itself, this is probably, like, their peak right now, with everything considered from the Switch's lifetime. I don't mean to be picky, but it's like, you kind of have to define, like, what success means
Of
too.
course.
Like, is it, like, how much money they made this year, or, like, the best games they threw out?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's not just money. It's about how are you setting yourself up for the future too, right? You could have a big financial year in 2023, but if you've upset your entire audience and fan base, then it's not a good year overall. You know what I mean?
Right. But I think, with the movie, the games that they've released, like, everything they've been making available for Nintendo, this is probably they're in their prime right now. So I would say it's their best year for sure.
Really? All right. Kokiri, where do you come out on that?
Well, you know what? I honestly agree with everything that Tree said. Like, honestly, like with the movie coming out and, like, their games revealing, this is definitely what Nintendo has to offer. Like, usually, like, in terms of, like, whenever they actually make, like, a new direct and stuff, like, they always tend to deliver. They want to give fans what we want, because, like, now then, some people have been, like, begging and pleading for, like, like, oh, give me a remake of this or a remaster, like, all that good jazz. But, like, honestly, like, with this year, like, with as Tree said, like, with the movie coming out and, like, Nintendo just, like, dropping so many games, this is definitely has been, like, the peakest so far, like, in terms of sales and, like new announcements and, like, upcoming releases that we've actually have had so far.
Yeah, I mean, you have to consider, like, in 1 year, they not only dropped a mainline Zelda title, they also dropped, like, an international blockbuster of an animated film. You know what I mean? I like,
Yeah.
and that's a big deal. I mean, both of you kind of brought it up in your responses there, but it's like, this wasn't just a big year in terms of game and software sales. They broke into a whole other medium. They put up Pixar numbers. That's a big deal. Like, you know, like
It's a really big deal.
exactly. And like you said, Tree,
Also-
go ahead. No,
Oh, yeah,
shoot,
go
fire
ahead.
away.
Oh, no, I was gonna say also it's like, yes, they've been super well, like financially. In my opinion, they've kind of taken the most risk this year too.
They
They
did.
risked holding on to Tears of the Kingdom and releasing it for the Switch. They went
Okay.
into the movie market. And something that may not seem like a big deal, but it's actually huge to Nintendo, is that they totally changed a 2D Mario game, right?
They did.
Like
Okay,
Mario
so either
Wonder.
one of you played Wonder? Because I am curious about this.
Obviously me.
Go for it, yeah.
Obviously me. Honestly, you know, it's a really major step up to the formula, though. I mean, I know like a lot of us were kind of like, you know, pretty upset when Charles Martinet actually retired from voicing, you know, the characters that we've all grown up with, like with Mario, Luigi, Wario, Waluigi, you know. And honestly, you know, I gotta give credit, you know, where it's due to the new guy right now, who's voicing both Mario and Luigi right now. Like honestly, you know, it's kind of like has that same replication that Charles gave us in Super Mario 64, you know. But honestly, in terms of like adjusting to the 2D formula, you know, for Wonder, like honestly, it really delivers. Like, because you know, we haven't had a mainline 2D Mario game since Super Mario Bros. U, and that was on the Wii U in 2012. Like everything else has been like, oh, here's Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe on the Switch, you know, and all this other stuff. But yeah, it's been like over like 11 years since we had a brand new 2D Mario game for that long.
That's actually kind of
Yeah.
crazy to think about. Because, yeah, anything that's come out between now and then has been some kind of a remaster or some kind of a port. This is really the first time they've gotten a chance to sort of reinvent the wheel or readdress the 2D formula in some way. I want to give a shout out to Cornflakes, who says Kevin Afghani is the new voice actor's name, by the way.
Yeah, that's his name. Yeah.
Yeah, gotta give credit where it's due. I mean, it seems like nobody, like, don't get me wrong, we'll always miss Charles. That man is an integral part of all of our childhoods. But, you know, those are big shoes to fill. And it seems like coming away from Wonder, he managed to fill those shoes and not be the conversation, which is, you know, that's probably the best you could hope for, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And the thing is, you know, like it kind of, you know, shows like, you know, like to me, what I was thinking about it, you know, like with the movie, because like I was thinking about what Charles actually says in the voice of one of his characters, because for anyone who does not know, he also voiced the guy who actually looked like Jumpman, but also Mario's dad. So like when he delivered in that last line, the ending where he points to Mario and Luigi, it's like, these are my boys, you know, like to us fans, that really means a lot. Like this is like the voice of these characters that we grew up with, like since 1996, you know, for a really long time.
Yeah, it felt very sort of passing of the torch kind of setting about it when he got to voice basically their dad and be like, these are my boys, kind of like passing it on to the next generation, which
Yeah.
is some of these movies are really good for. Like Tree, I know we've had podcasts where we talk about the function of those Detective Pikachu movies or the Detective
Yeah.
Pikachu movie was really to be this idea of like, okay, a parent will take their kids to this and can be like a passing of a torch kind of a
Right.
moment of like, hey, I grew up with this franchise and now we can
Yeah.
experience it together. And again, part of
Right.
that movie's message was again like Pokemon is something you pass along to your children, which of course they have
Right,
their own
and-
reasons for wanting to
true.
establish
that's-
that,
and
but it's
that's-
still a good
and-
sentiment.
That's what Nintendo is about. I mean, they've been making amazing first player games, but they're all about playing with people and like they're really about that interaction. But it's also like it's just a new, like you can, like what you were talking about, Kokiri, was great with the Mario movie about like passing the torch. Like it's great to see references like that in the movie, but also there have been so many passing of the torch moments behind the scenes that have also been happening at Nintendo, and you can obviously like feel that when you're playing these games. Like
Yeah,
Mario's
really
Wonder was like a bunch of young developers really working on the game, and they find out all the little details and added something to it to really make it refresh. That engine for Mario Wonder is the same engine they use for Tears of the Kingdom. which is
Wow.
also pretty crazy.
Wow.
Yeah,
That is mind
so
blowing.
That's impressive.
it's the same as Tears. It's the same as Tears of the Kingdom, and it's the same as Splatoon. And I forget the other game. It also
Is
follows
Xenoblade the
as.
other one? Nah, can't be.
I don't know. I'm not sure, but it's also like all these like.
Just
What's up?
Josh Z in the chat, got to shout it out, said another passing of the torch moment was Ash retiring from Pokemon.
Yeah.
You know?
Josh, don't make me cry.
Nah.
Josh,
God damn it, Josh, you did it again.
Josh, you're doing it again. You just gotta bring it up.
We just need Big Pika to retire next.
We do. Yeah, get his ass out of here. Pay my rent. Yeah.
But that's what's interesting about it, right? Is like it was not only such a good year for them in terms of, say, their, whether we're talking about the Pokemon show relaunching, Mario movie, Tears of the Kingdom, it appears to me, and we can get into 2024 itself, but it appears to me that Nintendo has really set themselves up good for the future. Now, 2024, in my opinion, is lacking in terms of first-party Nintendo stuff to get excited about. Like, I can't even think of the first thing to expect in 2024, except for maybe a Zelda remaster, which, don't get me wrong, I'd be more than happy with that, be it Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, whatever it's got to be. But, when you think about, Tears of the Kingdom setting itself up, like, people are going to be playing that game for years. Like, that game's got a good amount of shelf life on it. Even people who have put 200 hours into it, there's still plenty for them to go do and discover. The Mario movie is just the beginning. We all know that. We know that's just the beginning of what they're going to do with that. Mario Wonder is this new 2D experience, which is seemingly going to set the gold standard for 2D platformers for Mario moving forward. And then you got to think about like the fact that, look, we don't have Metroid Prime 4 yet, but they remastered Metroid Prime 1. Like they
which is not easy to do.
Not easy to do.
No, it was not.
My big gripe with Nintendo, and it shows my age, is I feel like a lot of my favorite IPs are just getting left behind. And I know, even though the talk with Metroid Prime 4 has been swirling around Nintendo for probably close to a decade at this point, I know a lot of Metroid fans were worried they're next. Like they're next on the chopping block. Now, they got Metroid Fusion, which is pretty good, though.
Well, dude, if you're a Metroid fan, I mean, the Switch is your favorite system because they have released so much on the Switch for Metroid that they haven't for any other console.
I mean, you compare it to the Wii and the Wii U,
It's nothing. Yeah. It's like I have a whole theory about Metroid Prime 4. I don't know if I want to really get into it, but I will say that I think like it's just I don't like 1 year to me is just so short, I guess, to talk about like the success of the year, which I think it is. But I just think the Switch has just been so consistent compared to every other Nintendo console. It's like maybe like the first 2 years into the Switch, they've just been having bangers after bangers after bangers. Well, and it's like they I think they figured out some type of formula that really works right now too. And like it's no coincidence that they were on that momentum. Their numbers were up, the best they've been in a long time. And when they released the Mario movie, now we're getting, you think it's a coincidence we just got Mario Wonder, and then we're going to get the RPG, and then we're going to get Princess Peach, dive into the Mario lore, and it's all part of them just planning out their own success. So that's why I think this year is so big too, because it's like all these, like with the movie, the release of this, have Tears of the Kingdom here, like best game of the year, possibly. They're just, I mean, they're kind of unstoppable right now too, and they're really in their own market if you think about it as well.
I think part of what's given them so much success, I remember when the Switch first came out, and we had Mario Odyssey and we had Breath of the Wild, but that was really it in terms of first party content for a long time. But now we've hit this stride where it seems like every few months there's a new Nintendo first party game come out, and that's when I think Nintendo's at their best. I think Nintendo's at their best when they're putting out a bunch of first party content, because I think that's what separates them from the other consoles. I think that's what separates them from Sony. It's what separates them from Microsoft, is they're not just publishers and they're not just platforms. No, they own this IP and they develop it in-house. And again, whether you're looking at Fire Emblem which started off the year, I believe it came out in January, Fire Emblem Engage, which I much preferred Three Houses, but I can tell you without a doubt, the gameplay in Engage was remarkable. Like, I've only just started dipping my toe into Fire Emblem since the Switch put out Three Houses, and now I played the Game Boy Advance one, and I want to maybe get my hands on some of the GameCube titles. But right off the bat, Fire Emblem pumping out a new first-party title, a new mainline title, which did very well. Again, wasn't as much for me as Three Houses was, but they started off the year hitting it like that with Fire Emblem, which is, you know, look at both. Here's two good examples. I know I'm rambling a little bit, but look at Fire Emblem and Pikmin. You know what I mean? These are two IPs, which if you go back to the GameCube era, very niche. But today, these are two of the biggest IPs in all of gaming. And like, that's what Nintendo has accomplished. That maybe they've kind of abandoned F-Zero and Star Fox, but what they've done is they've taken things like Pikmin, Fire Emblem, Animal Crossing, things that were niche on GameCube, and turned them into just like absolute, you know, top shelf bangers.
Dude, let me tell you something real quick. So my best friend Anthony, we grew up together, we're cousins. He loves the Wii U, and he loves Pikmin. And when they made Pikmin on the Switch, it was like the remake or the re-release of it or something like that, the port. The numbers from that were like 5 times the numbers of the Wii U, obviously. And he was like, the Wii U's so good. Like, people just don't know what good is. You know, they don't have a good console, but they make great games. Like, I love Pikmin, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what they're doing is like, we don't see it just with a game or two, but they're taking their momentum and their success of the Switch with the numbers of users they have, and they're finally doing stuff to get people to know the brand of their IPs. And we've seen with other companies just taking IPs and putting it onto their console, and then they just don't do well. It's something about how Nintendo knows how to put a perfect spin on it and push it out, which is just like no other company can do. So I'm just like, I'm also really thankful, like, they've been doing well the past couple of years, and I don't know what they could do moving forward. But dude, do you know how hard it is to have that much momentum for this long too? Because people are like, oh, you know, this is the year, like, you're gonna start seeing glitches on like Tears of the Kingdom, it's gonna hold the game back. It's like, it's the complete opposite. Like, they're still just thriving on everything they push, you know? So like me, I've never played Super Mario RPG, but I'm playing that shit.
Same.
Yes, as you should.
Yeah,
should,
I'm excited, dude.
Yeah,
like I just like recently, I
just
finished. Yeah, I know. Like recently, I was telling Landy, like, you know, I recently just finished streaming and completing the original on the Super Nintendo.
Nice.
Just to kind of get like a refresh, you know, and like, but like during like my whole entire refresh, like I've been telling people since like day one, like when I first started streaming the original, I said like, hey, you know, like you don't need to be a Mario fan to play the remake from Mario RPG. Like if you just love like a lot of stuff that Square Enix has been bringing to the table, like with Final Fantasy 16 they've done this year, and like a bunch of other stuff. But I was like, you know, like if you just love like a good turn-based RPG, but also you want to like represent Goddess Yoko coming back again to like, you know, bring back the music, I'm like, just give it a shot, you know, like it's so worth your time. And
dude, well, it's kind of crazy because I've been thinking about this a lot because, you know, like Gino has been like super high up on the Smash charts for being in the game and stuff like that. So I have been thinking about that since they announced the remake. And I think, you know, whatever, I'm not saying there's going to be a new Smash or anything like that. But let's say if he does get in the game in the future, I think it's better to make a remake of this game and let people know he's really from that, kind of, instead of originally like, or not originally, but people are going to be like, oh yeah, the guy in Smash is in this game. It's cool they're doing this remake because like, I don't know about the character and I want to know him from like the original game. And this remake, just from what I've seen, looks pretty faithful. Would that be accurate? Because I've never played the first one.
Yeah, I mean, I feel, you know, like, you know, there were, you know, some people who don't really know much of like who Gino actually really is, and like, you know, because like every time you like when you see like a new character get announced, you know, like for Smash, you know, you want to like, you know, you want to get to know them and know like what game series they're from, you know, Like
Right.
seeing like like seeing like Banjo-Kazooie, for example, like there's probably not many people who
Right.
haven't even played Banjo, or like
Mhm.
same like I mean like with when Smash 64 came out, when Ness got dropped as a playable character, like what everybody was like, like who is this kid? Like no one's played Earthbound before,
Yeah,
So that's what I'm
right.
thinking, like it just to help, like honestly, if they were to like do something like a remake for Smash, like this honestly can really increase Gino's chances because
Right.
because without a doubt, some people tend to forget that Gino is actually is a Square Enix character though. So
Technically
Yeah.
speaking,
honestly,
yeah.
it would be good to have like another like a representative like from Square Enix getting in the next Smash game.
Right. So yeah, I did know he was from Square. So like how do you guys do you guys think like Nintendo had to talk to Square about the remake or like
That's a
What's
very good
funny-
because
question. to think
like on the
about.
I have a
box
funny
it says
story
like
about that,
developed by
actually.
Square or something, right? On the original. It says
Yeah,
like
it does.
Right. That's what I remember.
Well, funny
Yeah, it
story.
was-
I actually believe that when Square wanted to retrieve the original code for Super Mario RPG, they lost it. I think it got lost in the SquareSoft Enix merger. But Nintendo keeps a copy of the source code of every game. So Square had to reach out to Nintendo to retrieve some of the stuff from Super Mario RPG. I think as far as this remaster is concerned, I think Square Enix has been, for the most part, left out of it. I think they're accredited where credit is due,
Yeah.
but I don't think Square Enix's name is going to be on that box. I think they'll get credited for
Right.
Gino in the credits, but I don't think
Okay.
they are.
Probably.
I don't think they're a part of this release at all, at least professionally speaking.
Right.
Exactly.
Interesting. Because like to me, like I've obviously never played the game, but something about that like Square logo on the box art was kind of iconic with Mario and like I don't know. I think that's like super cool. And if Square was involved with anything, it just kind of shows how well Nintendo and Square's relationship has been the past several years too.
They've always
know?
had a good relationship. The problem is that Square Enix wants to make games that need top of the line hardware. Like
Yeah.
pre PS1, Square Enix put everything out on Nintendo consoles. But once Sony was
Yeah.
willing to offer discs, they were like, all right, now we can make that Final Fantasy game that's 3 discs
Yeah.
long that we always wanted to.
Exactly.
Because
And
it
then-
really came out all the time on Nintendo consoles.
They
Yeah,
did.
The Final Fantasy games and stuff too. But Nintendo had to fuck up on 7. They really
They really did. They really did. Because like, 'cause it was funny though. Because it was funny. Like we're freaking about. Oh my
I don't know
god.
why that's so funny to me.
Oh,
Because I could
God.
just see them going, shit! Like, damn it!
Or they said a meeting like, I just don't think Final Fantasy is going to catch in the West. I just don't think it's going to work. And then
Nah.
7 comes out and they're just like, oh, damn it!
I know!
How much money
it was
was just
always-
left on the table?
It was always the disc and the cartridge versus the cartridge, and now it's like, back
Well-
then, if they were like, if we just waited one more year, one more fucking year.
Well, that's what's so
Oh
cool
my
about
God.
modern Nintendo. It's like revenge of the cartridge, right?
It
They bent
is,
the
It really
knee,
is.
They went to discs for a while, but they were like, screw this. We were at our best when we did cartridges. We're going back to cartridges. And like, to be fair, I saw somebody in the chat said that year to year, Nintendo is up on selling Switches in Japan this year. Like, they're selling more Switches in
wow.
Japan this year than they have previous years, probably because of the movie, because of Tears of the Kingdom,
Yeah.
because of
Yep.
the OLED model. Just there's a lot
That
of different
exposure,
factors.
man.
Exposure.
Yeah.
Again, a lot of
It's
different
huge.
factors circulating. And it's kind of crazy to think they've sold 130 million Switches. They're
Yeah,
almost the
that's
best-selling console of all
crazy.
time. I have the numbers pulled up. Yeah, PS2 is at 155 million. They just got to sell 26 million more. I mean, that's a lot of product to move. But
Yeah, but the holidays, man, I mean, they pushed it right at the perfect time. They know when they do best, too.
yeah, and I think
Gosh.
I just, it's crazy to think about, dude. It's crazy to think about.
Dude.
But I mean, again, I want to ask you guys, your like your
Yeah.
biggest hit and your biggest blunder of the year before we move into 2024. So maybe we could get
Okay.
kind of get those out of the way for 2023 for Nintendo's sake. And the movie does count, by the way. It doesn't have to be a video game. But what was your biggest hit for Nintendo this year? And what was your biggest disappointment, if any? You know, maybe they're batting 1,000 for you. I don't know.
Obviously for me, I mean, you know me, I gotta say Tears of the Kingdom, Tears of the Kingdom was like a commercial success. Like pretty much like everything. Yeah, it was so iconic. Like everything they took like from Breath of the Wild and like expanded upon it, like, like having like a new vision of Hyrule. That's something we didn't get a chance to see in the original game back in 2017, and like going to explore the underground chasms. I'm like, what is this? I'm like Nintendo did not have to do that. That was not necessary. But like,
it's crazy. Honestly,
it was like the most like beautiful and well-defined 3D Zelda game that we won, because a lot of people, back then, had some issues like with the original Breath of the Wild, like saying like how it kind of lacked the story, like, gave us like better dungeons, like a better fight, against Ganon. And then, big shout out to Eiji Onoma and Fubayashi just saying, you know what? Here you go. Tears of the Kingdom. We're going to bring Ganondorf back to life and everything else. But like, honestly, they really cooked this year, like with Tears of the Kingdom. Like, this is my fucking game of the year.
Yeah, man. I think I'll start with I think the movie's probably the biggest thing, because it's just like it's like Nintendo, but it's just like just cinema history too, for them to go out there and do that. And I think it really shows with I think it inspires a lot of other creators for games to make movies, because when the movie released, the critics hated it, but the audience loved it. It was for the fans, right? And I'm not super into it, but I've been looking around and stuff, and you kind of see that same example with the Five Nights at Freddy movie. It's like the critic score was awful, but the fan score was amazing, and the directors were so involved with the game's original writer wrote the film, and they checked it over, and they really focused on producing the film for the fans. And Miyamoto did the same thing with the Mario movie, and I know they thought about that too. So I think when you get like a movie like the Mario movie and it goes out and it's that successful, it really inspires other creators. But it's also like it inspires other creators to do that. It just pushes the Nintendo brand forward, because all people who have heard like, oh, I'm gonna go buy a Nintendo. It's like wait, you can kind of show them what that is. Like, what are they buying? You're buying Mario. Oh, who's this little rat bastard Toad right here with the diaper on? Like it's just such a huge deal for Nintendo to do that well, because it's reflecting in everything else. The biggest no of the year, I'm gonna have to say, is Pokemon. Even though it's like technically not Nintendo, but it also is.
It's Nintendo. It's Nintendo.
It's Nintendo, dude. Like Scarlet and Violet, like just was not the move for me and the DLC.
Yeah. Wait, like what was I didn't get a chance to play the DLC, but what was the reception it got so far with Teal Mask?
I think a couple people said it like just ran about the same. Like, really? And I think that's the problem, is that it's just,
because I know we have one more coming out, the Indigo disc
that comes out in December. Yes.
Yeah.
So that comes out in December, but I was kind of like, I was hoping Nintendo would regulate a little bit more on Game Freak for what they do, considering how much like copies it sells for the Switch, how many system sellers it makes for the Switch. So we'll see what happens. I was also pretty shocked. Like, I know it's not this year, it was last year or 2 years ago. I can't really remember, but like Pokemon BDSP sold better than Legends Arceus. And that to me is like, dear God, they're going to do it again. Like they're going to do it again, and they're not really going to care because Scarlet and Violet beat BDSP. So it's like, I think that was kind of the biggest blow for me of this year, was just the other than Detective Pikachu, of course. I
Yeah.
love that. But like for mainline games,
I was gonna
and
say, I'm
content,
surprised you didn't say Detective Pikachu was your big hit of the year.
Well, it is, but it's like for like Nintendo, like that's my personal thing. But I think for like the company of Nintendo, that was their biggest
The big
W for the
splash.
year. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think
So-
even with the success of Tears of the Kingdom, the movie is ultimately the biggest dub. But for me, I'm with you, Kokiri. Like, Tears of the Kingdom was my biggest win for Nintendo this year. Like,
Yep.
you know, as someone who it's like, I don't think Tears of the Kingdom is my favorite Zelda, but it's still an immaculate one. It's still like an incredible one. And the fact of the matter is, the gameplay breakthroughs those developers came to in Tears of the Kingdom is stuff we're going to see in games, just like with Breath of the Wild, where you saw those Breath of the Wild clones popping up. You watch.
Right.
Tears of the Kingdom clones are coming. Or, oh, puzzles that can be solved multiple ways with these different mechanics. Oh, suddenly, and you watch a few years from now, every protagonist is going to have the cursed arm, right? The power arm, the arm that lets them do everything,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
The lore version of the power glove, you might say. But Tears of the Kingdom was just, again, there are things, I guess, like, anyway, I could talk, Kokiri, you know this, I could talk Tears of the Kingdom all night.
Oh, absolutely. I can just go on forever.
Right. I could be here all night talking about that game. When I do my Game of the Year stream, it's going to pretty much come down to that versus FF16. I just got Octopath Traveler 2, which I hear is a worthy candidate. So I can't wait to give that a little bit of a whirl. But that was my biggest win. My biggest L was fucking Fire Emblem, dude. Like, I don't know.
Really?
Okay, I love Three Houses. Like, I do.
Yeah.
And I've always liked strategy games. Like, I grew up playing Shining Force on Genesis. That's how much that's.
Oh, I remember that.
Those are my strategy RPG roots. And then by proxy, I just fell into Fire Emblem the last few years. And Three Houses to me was just so cool. Because, like, dude, you guys, and anyone who comes to this podcast, this channel knows, I love a good story. I love a good story in games. I love a story that can keep you talking for hours after you finish that. And the Three Houses story, man, like, there's so much moral ambiguity and just, you know, philosophical, you know, interrogation of ideas just baked into this game of three different viewpoints clashing at once. I loved it so much. And then I just play Engage, which had better gameplay. There's no question. The gameplay of Engage, better than Three Houses, better than most strategy RPGs I've ever played. But the story of Engage, to me, was just dog shit. Characters were good, don't get me wrong. Enjoyable characters, lovable interactions, but all of those things don't make a good story. The story was a snooze fest. And after what Three Houses delivered, and after what the Game Boy Advance game delivered in playing that in Nintendo Switch Online, I was incredibly disappointed. So I thought I was ready to be a gun-ho. Like, I was ready to be branded as a Fire Emblem fan. I was ready, Nintendo. You had me in the palm of your hand to be a day one Fire Emblem guy for the rest of my life. But you ruined it on shot one. My shout out to Josh C. Just dropped a $5 super chat on us. Says what's crazy is that Nintendo has a theme park with Universal, the company that tried to sue them, claiming DK was King Kong copyright infringement. That's amazing.
I remember that.
Wow. So like 40 years ago, they tried to Universal sued Nintendo over the King Kong copyright. And now 40 years later, they're at Nintendo's doorstep like, could we use your IP for our theme parks, please? Wow.
It's kind of crazy because
cool.
It's kind of crazy because Universal pulled a Nintendo on Nintendo. Also, I think it was Gerudo-san in chat. So, like, for Nintendo, the Mario movie I thought was like the most important for them. Personally, the biggest W was the Detective Pikachu Returns. I'm a huge Detective Pikachu fan. I played the shit out of that game like for 3 days straight, and I loved it. So I was just unpacking a lot of my stuff. I found this bootleg Detective Pikachu figure I got like a couple years ago, and I was like, dang, this kind of looks better than the amiibo. Like he's got like a whole like little cloak on. He's got like a magnifying glass. It's really cool. But yeah, I hope they do. I hope they do another game. But I also hope if they do a movie, they take like the vibe from the game and put it in the movie, because I didn't really like the whole vibe from the movie with Ryan Reynolds. I thought what made Detective Pikachu pretty cool and Detective Pikachu was how chill it was with just coffee and like little side jokes. It was like, "Hey Tim, you like that girl? She's high, like she's hitting on you. She looks good." It's like it's coming from a Pikachu. You know, it's like I want a Pikachu to have like a deep voice like in the game, huh? You know, like I don't want Ryan Reynolds. I want the original OGs from the game.
Is that the pile of like Scrooge McDuck money Nintendo's sitting on? They don't even know it. It's like, hey, there's so many ways to engage with the Pokemon universe. Why not explore these more? And to be fair, they have, Pokemon Snap isn't anything new and they have these ways. But I like what you're saying, where it's like you could do almost anything. Like guys like you are happy to run around the Pokemon world playing detective. You don't got to collect badges and be the very best. You're happy to be detective with a deep voiced Pikachu. How many more things can you think up like that?
Well, it's like I you heard my streams a couple times. Like I would just go around and you would talk to people, and it was the like chill but very witty writing of stuff they would just throw in there, and I'm just like, dude, like like this has voice acting. That game, your mainline game doesn't, stuff like that. But I was like, yeah, man, that's kind of crazy. This has voice acting and this game doesn't. But it just shows like, I don't know. I thought it was pretty funny where people were like, oh my gosh, like Detective Pikachu, these graphics are so bad. And I'm like, you're a Pokemon fan. When have you ever cared about graphics? It's like the only graphics that have been good were like through third-party games, like the new Pokemon Snap. That's Bandai Namco. Pokken Tournament, that's from Bandai too. Pokemon Unite is a pretty good looking game for what it is. It's like, I don't know. I thought that shit was kind of funny. Like Coliseum looked amazing with the animations back in the day. That was the sorority. But yeah, so I just hope like if they do another, like let's say like /Nintendo /Pokemon, the next live action Detective Pikachu film, I hope they just refresh it and they get the same voice actors and they stick more to the vibe of the game than like a futuristic city with like super detailed Pokemon, because I think that's what has made the fans really just like the game. But it is what you were saying, Landy, it is refreshing to play like a game where you're listening to characters talk and you just go around and you have coffee, and man, that's all you kind of need to get people to have fun. Right? So
well, it's all about immersion at the end of the day, right? Like with worlds like the Pokemon world, it's about being immersed in it. However you do that, right? Whether it's like you said, whether you're mingling, drinking coffee, gathering clues, or, running around the wild area. So, look, we're about 45 minutes in. I want to talk about Nintendo's 2024, a year that I think is setting up to be very slow for them compared to the last couple years. Unless, guys, is there anything Nintendo has on the docket in 2024 that I'm not thinking of? Because I can't think of anything off the top of my head other than like maybe Metroid Prime 4, but I don't even want to go down that road. So is there anything with 2024? Like, how's Nintendo's 2024 looking?
It's looking pretty solid though, because I know like, this summer, like, for the summer direct, like Nintendo fans are mostly Mario fans in general. Like, like myself, like we've been eating like pretty good this year, like this year we had the Mario movie, we have Mario RPG remake coming out, Mario Wonders here, like but also like in terms of next year's lineup, I mean, I know we got that everybody went head over heels for this one, especially including myself, definitely is like the remake for Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door. Because like honestly, that game is just so mind blowing. That played a huge part of like a lot of people's childhoods, including myself. And like so honestly, like being able to like go back to the roots to what people wanted for like a Paper Mario game, because like it just, I was like, okay, like because I at first like, okay, I don't think Nintendo's going to deliver, because nowadays like with the modern Paper Mario games that we had, like with Sticker Star and Color Splash and Origami King, they've kind of been like a little bit of hits and misses with Paper Mario now and then. But now that they're like going back to the roots of what fans have been asking for years, I'm just like, okay, this is definitely is something that they're bringing to the table for next year. And I think it'll be like a great, maybe good summer title for us to bring. Cause I do know, like, we still got Princess Peach Showtime and like the remake for Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon coming out.
Mario vs. Donkey Kong.
Yes, that too.
Yeah.
But that's what I mean, though. It seems like a lot of what they have lined up is just kind of like offshoot Mario stuff. Not counting Thousand Year Door. I think that's their big heavy hitter. I think that's going to hit harder than Mario, Donkey Kong, Princess Peach, and Luigi's Mansion. I actually think Thousand Year Door will sell upwards 5 million plus copies. I really believe that.
Oh, absolutely. I agree.
But I think they're going to need more than that. And it's like, you see how Mario is lining up like this? Do you think what they're doing with Mario here, we might see them do with the Zelda series? Like, for Mario, it's Thousand Year Door. Do you think they'll get a Wind Waker for Zelda? And, like, you kind of see what I mean? Kind of make this a year. Because let's be honest, the Switch is on its last legs. They're getting ready to launch the next console, which maybe that's a big part of next year. Not to get anyone's hopes up, but maybe that's what they have planned. But it seems like the Switch is at the end of its life cycle. You're not going to get any new first-party bangers. I think that this year was the end of them between Tears of the Kingdom, Fire Emblem, Pikmin. I don't think you get any more big first-party titles on the Switch. Mario Wonder, I think this year was the last year for that. I think 2024 could just be the year of the remaster, year of the port, stuff that Nintendo can do that won't cost them a lot of overhead, but that they can flip for some software sales. So do you think it stops at just Mario, guys? Or do you think we see a Pokemon, Zelda? Do you think we see other series get this treatment?
So I think they're going to release a new console this coming year. Because it's going to be, 8 years this coming March? Since
7.
Switch, 7 years?
Yeah.
7 years, that's a long time.
Yeah.
Especially since they didn't expect the Switch to do this well.
It was supposed to just be a filler, right? Like, it was supposed to just fill up the second half of the content of the console cycle.
Well, you gotta think about it. Like, there ain't no damn way they're making a next gen Pokemon or a next gen Mario or a next gen Zelda on this console, right?
No.
Yeah.
Definitely not.
I think,
definitely not.
This is a crazy thing I'm thinking, right? So I've been seeing like a couple patents and stuff like that, and you have to take those with a grain of salt, you know?
Because companies patent everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, it's like, man, dude, it would be kind of cool. Because, like, I think Nintendo, what they're going to do is that since they're so high up and successful right now, I think that's usually when they try something different, right? Like, the Wii was so good, they went to the Wii U, and that kind of fucked them up, right? But if they could do something like the Switch, like if they could keep that momentum with the Switch, but do something different and have it work out, I think that would be insane, right? Because I don't know, I think Nintendo's always been very like they loved the DS. Like, they loved the DS, they loved the 3DS, they made the 3DS XL, all this stuff. I could see them doing some type of like double screen. I don't know if that would like be feasible, but all I know is that the next console is going to be really powerful. I think everything that Nintendo's been doing now to like push them forward and do things different, we're going to see like a way we haven't before with their new console. I think Metroid Prime 4 is going to come out on the newest Switch, and it's going to be fucking gorgeous.
So, do you guys think that's what they're... Do you think that's what they're going to end up doing, guys? Do you think we get the quote-unquote Switch Pro, the powerful Switch? Is that what they're going to do? Or do you think they go for a whole new direction? Because I always wondered, like, what's the move here, right? Do they go Switch Pro, a leveled up Switch? Or do they turn the Switch into its own thing and then try to release a powerful console to compete? Like, what is the move? If you're Nintendo, what's your move here? Because if you make the Switch Pro, it's not going to sell as well as the Switch. Look at the 3DS to the DS.
Yeah.
Like, no matter what, if you make a Switch Pro, it will not outsell its predecessor. No matter what.
I think I think there could be a possibility that they're doing something that we're not even thinking of, because Doug Bowser and then the president of Japan for Nintendo also said that they have plans for a smooth transition to link your Nintendo account to the next system.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that could mean a couple things, right? Like you don't want to shoot the gun. That could mean it has backwards compatibility. That could mean just like a more powerful Switch. That could mean like a whole new console, but like everything that's in your account, it could have the same type of eShop. Like I don't know what that means, but I'm hopeful that whatever they end up doing for their next system, whatever it may be, that everything we have now is going to work out well. It's not like we're going to have to like start from scratch like we did with some accounts.
What do you think, Kokiri?
I agree like with Tree, what Tree's saying, like it honestly at this point, in terms of sales, like it could really be anything, like it could be like a new console or something, like maybe like a bit like a new model of a Switch, like with more gigabytes or stuff like that, but honestly, like if they were to make a Switch Pro, it's like that what we were all saying, it's definitely is not going to sell well, because it's something like, we want to see something new to the table pretty much though. So I'm thinking of like, Nintendo should just like, continue playing ball and like give us like a new console, like something that like maybe like make it like another console that like, people can still continue to take on the go, because like that really changed a lot. Like when we had like, like the Game Boy, like DS and 3DS and the Switch, it's like being able to take our games to play on the go. And like, that's what increased on sales is like, because sometimes, like with home console, like, we just can't just like take them on a plane and like play them, like, it's like, everybody just wants to be like playing them like on the go, because that's what everybody does in this generation now is like, we're all just doing something on the go at this point. So like, honestly, I'm definitely am like digging into like a newer model though. Like, but like this coming year, I feel like it's just going to be like remakes and like ports and stuff like that. Like definitely around the edges of like the Switch's like end cycle.
Dude, Kokiri, when you were saying about like just the Switch being on the go, it's like you kind of think about how Nintendo can make that better, right? And it's like one obvious way is like, yeah, you can make better graphics for your system, better battery, whatever.
Yeah.
But what if you had a Switch where you didn't need the dock? Like, think about how big of a game changer that would be. It's like taking your Switch on the go, but even easier.
So how do you project it on the screen? Is it just straight up Bluetooth or like screen share the way you would your smartphone?
Well, you could just plug it straight into the console.
Yeah, you can do something like that, like something similar like that, like maybe like with Bluetooth or something though. But honestly, like taking a system on the go, like as Tree was saying, like not having to like use the dock.
Well, I think a big part of it, what you guys have been getting at is they have to look, unless Nintendo is going to try and go back to their GameCube days and build up hardware that can compete with Sony and Microsoft. The most important thing they have to preserve is the ability to be on the go. Because, it's not just a matter of life being more busy these days and everyone having a smartphone and being on the go. You have to consider the Japanese market where, for the average salaryman, you don't really have a lot of time to play a console at home. Culturally, most of your day is spent out of your living space as opposed to here in the West where most of your day is spent in your living space. I think the portability has got to be primary. And,
yeah,
I'm seeing a little bit of the chat going back and forth and mentioning it. It's like when Nintendo does a sequel to their console, it never goes well, right? The Wii U flopped, 3DS sold a fraction of the DS. These sequel consoles historically just don't do well. So getting back to that, I can't really see them just doing like, here's the Switch Pro. Unless they had some kind of marketing plan where it's like, third time's the charm, this time we're going to nail it, this time it's going to work. Well, and if that's the case, it's going to mean, here, put it this way, if you get a Switch Pro, you can kiss backwards compatibility goodbye. Because that's what the Wii U had. Backwards compatibility to the Wii. So people are like, don't really need a Wii U. That's what the 3DS had. Backwards compatibility to the DS. People are like, don't really need a 3DS.
The only time Nintendo made a sequel console that worked, I feel like, was the new Nintendo 3DS, right? Like it was the same exact thing, but it could play games that the regular 3DS couldn't. And that's something I'd like to see with their next console. I don't know if they would even do that, but I thought it was great because everything you had was already there, but they could make it to where like the graphics looked better on the games, and it was like just an exclusive thing for that system. They would make some games.
I just don't see them doing it. I mean,
they won't.
Look at how many copies Mario Kart 8 Deluxe sold, and that's the port of a Wii U game. They know that if they launch a new system, you're going to buy Mario Kart. That's just one of their layouts.
Exactly.
That if they make a new system, you're going to buy Mario Kart again. I don't see them making a system where your Mario Kart is going to work. They're going to try and get you at the door and be like, nope, new console, new Mario Kart, you're paying for it. So I think if we do get go ahead, all you.
And I was gonna say add on to that, and that's exactly what they're doing with this new booster pack DLC. You know, because we're still getting like new tracks and new characters for the DLC, which of course that's coming out next week from today, the new stuff, and that's where they're gonna drop the line with because like from there on, Mario Kart is done for the Switch. Because they're not adding in new characters or like new tracks. They already did like all those waves and stuff like that. So we're done. And like at this point, like fans are now going to be wanting like another new Mario Kart game to like come out at some point.
I just don't want Nintendo to go too crazy with creativity. I know that sounds bad and selfish, but it's like you can kind of understand that the president of Nintendo of Japan understands the Western market respectfully more than like they have in the past. And I get scared like we'll get another Wii U that happened after the success of the Wii.
And again, I actually have a little faith they wouldn't do it this time. Because I think they only have two options. I think their only two options are you launch a more powerful Switch, the Switch Pro, but you don't do backwards compatibility. At launch, you have an Animal Crossing game ready to go and a Mario game ready to go. You do that with a Switch Pro, no backwards compatibility, it sells and it's huge. Now, please don't get my words twisted. I would love a Switch Pro with backwards compatibility. I just don't see a world where that exists because that would be Nintendo shooting their sales in the foot. Just shooting it in the foot and making the same mistake they made with the Wii U, DS, 3DS. So that's option one. Option B is for them to make like a beefy home console. This way, they can just keep selling you Switches. They can just keep making Switch software because now they have their beefy home console and then they have the Switch, which kind of replaces the DS in a way, like spiritually. I don't see them doing option B. I think option one's more likely, but I can't imagine them doing anything different than that.
I just don't think that. I mean, they're not going to go away from the portable handheld now. I don't see them making like a beefy home console.
But that's what I'm saying. Is like if they did the beefy home console, it's because the Switch is just going to keep going. You know what I mean? I think the Switch games, if they make the beefy home console, that means the Switch has basically just been granted a new life. Like, there's no longer the pressure for the Switch to be the home console and carry the Zelda titles. Right. Now the Switch can be this indie developer machine. We can launch, Pokemon games can come out on it, things like that, But
Let me ask you something. All right.
I was just gonna say I don't see them doing that. I do think Switch Pro not backwards compatible is probably the best bet.
What do you guys think about those leaks that like the Switch was shown at some game? It was what was it? Was it an E3? Not E3.
One of the showcases.
Some big showcase. They were showing off like a new.
Might have been Tokyo Game Show.
Something like that.
I think the dev kits are out there. How true all these leaks are, I don't know, but I think the dev kits are out there. Well,
just that particular one. Yeah.
Yeah. I think there's credence to it because I think the dev kits are out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think the dev
I
kits
think that shit's real for sure.
Well, they give themselves up because it's like, what first party title for the Switch are they teasing right now that would require top of the line hardware? Like, we've been over all the Mario games that are coming out, Thousand Year Door, but like, there's no Zelda game we're waiting for. There's no Xenoblade game we're waiting for. There's none of those big heavy hitters that require top of the line hardware. So to me, that signals they're getting ready for the next thing. Those dev kits are ready.
Right.
If there is a next gen Zelda, it's being worked on right now.
Oh,
Yep.
for sure. Yeah,
Definitely,
dude,
you know.
it's just crazy because like the last direct we got from Nintendo, it just felt like okay, we're at the end of our life cycle for sure. Type vibes is what I got. I don't know if you guys felt the same at all about that.
I feel exactly the same way.
Yeah, I kind of felt it too. Like, and honestly, you know, it was kind of like, as we were talking earlier, it was kind of like, it could be a little major dead giveaway. And of course, when Nintendo just announced out of the ball, they're saying like, oh, you know, like Charles Martinet is going to be retiring from voicing Mario. So like that kind of like says a lot right there. And this is going to be like a new generation of like Nintendo, especially for like with Mario without Charles actually bringing a character that he's brought to life for so many years since Mario 64.
Yeah, I mean, it all signals a new era, and how far that goes remains to be seen. But we have hit the 1 hour mark, which means we can open this up wide to the chat. Josh Z, at Sage of the Lodge, says Nintendo account is as far as backward compatibility will go. And I think he's 100% right. I think you can expect all the
That's super
Nintendo
true.
Switch
That's
Online
super
stuff
true.
to remain. Like, you can
Yep.
keep your N64 emulator and stuff like that. But I don't... You know why? Because, like, dude, they're going to sell you Breath of the Wild 4K, right? You can't play your
Yeah.
Breath of the Wild Switch game on the new
They're
console.
gonna make you pay.
But
yeah.
you can buy Breath of the Wild in 4K,
They're,
and I
dude,
buy
they're
it.
the app-
That's the
yeah.
thing.
Right. Dude, they're the Apple of gaming, bro. They also do some shit where it's like they create problems and they make you pay for the solution, right? And that's exactly what they're gonna do too. Pokemon's pretty good at that as well.
Yeah. Yeah, because like, yeah.
You want your Pokemon? Well, you're gonna have to pay if you want your childhood back. Keep them here, and Pokemon Bank. We might.
Yeah,
keep
and
it
like
around,
usually,
but
like
don't
you know,
how long.
like Game Freak usually like drops something every year for like Pokemon. That's why they have like Pokemon Presents, and like, you know, they always have something planned going on for like Pokemon Day. You know, so there's always going to be something new for Pokemon, like whether it be like on a home console or it's like, oh, here's Pokemon Sleep on phone games.
Man.
I'm still playing Sleep to this day, though. So many hours put in.
Hey, I
Heck
mean,
yeah.
do you find it's helping you sleep?
It really is, you know. It really is. Like, I enjoy like setting an alarm, like I would usually do to wake up in the morning. But then just like waking up saying like, oh look, here's a shiny, here's a regular Pokemon I could just catch and like give it biscuits to and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's pretty fun. I mean, it kind of gets a little bit tiring afterwards, but it's a pretty solid experience.
Kevin Ribeiro says, give it some time. There's going to be a Nintendo console that lets you play your games and watch their movies. I think that's the new vision, right? It's like, it's not only a console for your video games, like Nintendo Switch Online, you're going to have like a library, right? There's going to be like, how do I put this? It's like, imagine Xbox Game Pass and Netflix rolled into one. I think that's the long-term vision for Nintendo Switch Online, is to be your Xbox Game Pass and your Netflix account. I really think
They're turning into a entertainment company now, not just a video game company.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Livid Sid, shout out to her, says, just give me my GameCube emulator, please.
They'll make you pay.
I'll pay extra.
for all the
They'll
Wind
pay
Wakers.
extra. Jesus, take my money. But honestly, that's the like, I love the GameCube era. I think the GameCube is Nintendo's best console, but it's also the console that ruined Nintendo in some ways.
Yeah.
Not overall, because if you look at the GameCube, it is all first-party content, banger after banger after banger. You got 2 Star Fox games. You've got 2 Zelda games. You've got a bunch of Mario games. You've got
Melee!
F-Zero games. Melee. You've got Kirby games. You've got Kirby Air Ride. It was a first-party bonanza.
Yeah.
And they came in
GameCube
last
had a massive
in the
library.
console war. And they came in dead last in the console war. And then they made the Wii, which had like no first-party content, but was one of the best-selling consoles of all time.
It's backwards compatible.
Yep.
Too.
It's backwards compatible.
So-
It was backwards compatible. Oh, that kind of pokes a hole in what I was saying before.
Yeah, I waited for the right time to bring it back up.
Yeah, I'm glad you
Now you're fine.
No, the first one, GameCube has 3 Zelda games because there's 4 Sword Adventures.
That's true.
It was just a
Are we counting Twilight Princess?
Wind Waker, Twilight,
Twilight.
Oh, okay.
4 Swords.
4 Swords of
Wind
Adventures.
Waker.
But dude, shut up, dude. Wind Waker's so
I'm just
big.
kidding. I'm
Wind Waker's
just
so
kidding.
Are you
big.
trying to make
Shut your
Sid
mouth. You shut your fucking
angry?
mouth on my show. God damn it. Fucking unbelievable. Oh my goodness. But geez, like, I mean, don't get me wrong, I liked the Wii because the Wii had a lot of cool features, but like,
Oh, yeah.
it lacked the first party
did.
support
It
the
really
GameCube
did.
had, and we've not seen first party support like that since. Although the Switch is a close second, I will say
Yes.
the Switch has been really good for first party content. The thing is, there's just bigger games in town: Xenoblade, Bayonetta, Pikmin, Animal Crossing. So it's just,
Yeah.
it's a different time, man. It's a different time.
I kind of think 3D. I think 3DS might be my favorite.
The
actually.
3DS. Well, 3DS is another
Yeah.
one that's a wealth of like for not just first party content, but third party content too.
Yeah, man. It's like you got Xenoblade on there, you got Smash Bros on there, like just so many like Fire Emblem's on there, like so many games, like that library's history, that was portable. Like Nintendo's always killed handhelds in the best way possible. And it's like that's why the Switch I feel like has done so well too, cuz like they've just mastered that. All I want, whatever it is, if we get a new like Switch 2 or something like it, but it's called something else and it's a new console, I just want a D-pad on the left Joy-Con. That's all I want. I don't want those arrows. I want a nice clean Pro D-pad like on the Switch Lite.
I'm with
you. Know
you.
What I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's all I
Same.
want. That's it.
So did you count Ocarina of Time Master Quest and Collector's Edition for the GameCube too? I did not, because they.
Dang.
But that's what I'm saying. Not only that, you know what else the GameCube was good for? It was like Sonic's second chance. It's like Mario beat him in the console war and was like, bro, come put your games on my system. And we got Adventure 2 back. Like after the Dreamcast crashed, like the GameCube was like the lifeboat of the Dreamcast. Like everything that failed
That's
on Dreamcast
crazy.
Yeah.
was
That
given to
is-
GameCube. And like, oh my lord. Like I just remember seeing Sonic on a
Yeah.
Nintendo console and being like, oh my god, we're in the future. Like it's happening.
Yeah.
Crazy
It's
stuff.
crazy.
It was the best of
Dude.
times. It was the worst of times.
Worst of times.
Rocks 13 Prod is here. What's going on? Theo Wayne says, Wii was hands down the best console, but I'm also getting old at this point, so I'm biased. The Wii was great because I think it introduced a lot of people to gaming that otherwise didn't know casual gaming was a thing. Also, I think the Wii was really like the first console to be like your entertainment hub. Like you could watch YouTube on it. You could watch old school Netflix on it.
I still get my news from the News Wii channel.
The News Wii channel, your weather. Yeah.
Oh
The
my
only reliable source when it
Not only
comes to
Not only that, like you could download tons of retro games on your Wii too.
Oh
that
yeah,
was a
man.
cool thing about
that's
the Wii.
how I played Ocarina for the first time. Is
Yeah.
because I got it on there. It's
Good
crazy.
stuff. Good stuff.
Oh yeah.
Josh Z says, "Did you guys hear Sega wants to reestablish Sonic's rivalry with Mario?" Well, how are
I
you gonna
did see that.
How are you gonna do that?
I did.
Can we just cut the shit, bro? Can we just like? I thought they were cool now. Can we just like?
Yeah, it'd be way cooler if they had an actual platforming crossover.
Right. Super Sonic Maker. No.
or that, you know.
Oh, I would love
and
to
honestly, you know,
Kokiri.
a lot of people are saying,
Wow.
you know,
That's actually a pretty
Slam
good
can we just
idea.
get like a Mario and Sonic platformer?
Yeah, boom. Let me cook. Oh, I cooked all right. Look at that.
What's up, Kokiri?
No, I was gonna say, like, can we just get like a Mario and Sonic platformer though?
That's what
it
I'm
would
saying.
just.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, honestly, I don't know about y'all, but like, you know, as much as they were good for the time being, but I'm kind of getting a little bit tired of the whole Olympic Games
Yes.
kind of vibe.
Yeah, no, we need
True.
new ideas for them to cross over. It can't just be a party game. That's too easy. It's a layup. It's got to be. It's,
Yeah,
or at least let the
Yeah,
Sonic
the-
characters into Mario Party. Just like make Sonic DLC. I'll do it.
yeah, exactly. You know, because like honestly, you know, we're getting kind of tired of the Olympic Games. You know, because like not that many people are like buying them nowadays.
Or how cool would it be to see Mario run really fast and then Sonic jump through a bunch of pipes? You know, I'm down for this crossover. They've met many a time.
Oh, what's the name of that movie? You Could Freaky Friday, Mario and Sonic, where they switch bodies. And like, wouldn't that be so fucking funny?
That's such a good idea.
That'd be
Mario's like, how do you
amazing.
run in these? Like, what the hell?
Yeah. Wow. Super Sonic Maker. Sounds pretty
I'd be into it.
interesting.
Christopher James.
But you're right.
F.
You're
I was just gonna say,
sorry. Okay.
Christopher James and F. Landy Lodge is the one on the top right. I'm over here. How are you?
The
A
cute
Mario
one's
and
the
Sonic-
bottom left.
Did you see this a Mario and Sonic Warriors game? Where just like a bunch of Goombas and Botniks like coming at you. Oh, see, now we're talking. See that? That's an idea. That's an idea.
Koei Tecmo Games makes a Mario and Sonic Warriors game.
Oh,
That
I
would
would
be
lose it.
awesome.
That
would
would go
lose it.
insane though.
Wow.
I mean, heck, you know, Koei Tecmo, they've delivered with the original Hyrule Warriors and Age of Calamity.
Yeah. Christopher James F says, do you think we'll get a new villain for the next Zelda game instead of just recycling Ganon again? I gotta be honest, I want more Ganondorf. I don't mind recycling Ganondorf. I find I actually have found Ganon to be quite boring. Like the villain Ganon, the pig demon.
Pig Ganon.
I find Ganondorf insanely compelling. And I think Tears of
Yeah.
the Kingdom did a good job reintroducing him because he hasn't been in a mainline Zelda game. There's like a 15-year gap between Twilight Princess and Tears of the Kingdom. You know, so it was a long time since. So I think they did a good job reintroducing him. But I think he needs a game to really be fleshed out. Like when you really dig into Ganondorf, there's much more going on there than, oh, he's inheriting Demise's spirit. Like there's a lot more going on there. There is a man who is the king of the Gerudo, the tribe of the desert, and he is jealous of the kind winds and greenery of Hyrule. Like he's just a man who feels like his people got the short end of the draw by ending up out in the desert where nothing grows. And Hyrule has this gifted land where crops grow and there's greenery. And he's like, why were my people sent out to the desert? And the Hylians got this rich land. Like, I want to dive into that Ganondorf, that Wind Waker.
Yeah,
showed us,
you know, it's kind of funny when you were talking about that. That actually was discussed during the final boss fight in Wind Waker. When you do think about it,
Oh, yeah.
that actually was discussed, and that kind of went into deep. And honestly, you know, if I were to pick like a couple of other games like outside of Tears of the Kingdom to where Ganondorf was like perfectly well written and introduced, was definitely Ocarina of Time and Wind Waker.
Oh, yeah.
Like Twilight Princess, he was just there. Like honestly, a lot of people thought like, oh, Zant was like the new big shot, the big kahuna in town, and then he's like, oh yeah, no, it's not me. You might want to go kill him over there. So
You know, you're right. Ganondorf was much more of a twist in Twilight Princess. I do think the Ganondorf fight at the end of Twilight Princess is the best boss fight in the series, except for maybe the final boss of Tears of the Kingdom. I gotta let that age a little bit. I did love that boss fight.
I did too.
Yeah, but like you're saying, I think his Ocarina and Wind Waker incarnations are so interesting. And I would love a game with the modern tech we have now and the voice acting to really give Ganondorf a game. Because I think what the Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom era did really good was building Zelda. Like it really
Yeah.
she's probably my favorite Zelda is the Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom era Zelda. You know, save for Ocarina Zelda, but I think the next saga should give Ganondorf the amount of character development Zelda got in Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. Give Ganondorf that kind of spotlight.
Yeah.
That I think that's what you got to do next. I don't think you got to mix it up. I think there are different villains in Zelda, just to bring it back to the question, but I think there's still room for Ganondorf to steal the show. Josh Z says the game everyone forgot about this year was Kirby and the Forgotten Land. Yeah, that was this year.
That was the best-selling Kirby game.
I think so.
I think it
Actually,
was.
wait, was it? Wait, wasn't Forgotten Land last year? Was it
Maybe.
last year?
Fact check.
Or was it right at the start of this year? I thought it was last year too.
Yeah, I thought it was last year because it came out around the era when we all went to KH20 last year.
Oh yeah, this was March 2022. That was last year.
Yeah.
Okay. Wind Waker was so peak, 100% mirror limit. You get it. Christopher James says, would you ever want actual demise to make a comeback in some way? No.
That would be something, no.
Do you think so? Because I don't think so, because I just feel like Skyward Sword is such a perfect introduction for him. I think I just don't want him to be the villain again. Because I think it ruins Skyward Sword if he comes back.
It really would, but it also would kind of put the whole entire timeline in a big massive mess, kind of, because like you're saying, because Skyward Sword was like the pinnacle of like introducing demise and like placing the curse on both the hero and the incarnation of the goddess Hylia, and then saying oh, he's back again. I'm like, huh? It does not mean. I mean, plus a lot of people to this day still say even the Zelda timeline itself, it's still like a huge mess in some ways. So
it is a mess.
Yeah.
Sven Gerudo-san says, I'd like a woman Gerudo to be the big bad after the royal family kills Ganondorf. That could be cool. Imagine a game where the royal family kills Ganondorf, but then the female head of the tribe for the Gerudo wants to commit this taboo experiment to give Ganondorf a new vessel. And instead of him just being the demon king Ganondorf, it's actually Demondorf. She finds a way to summon Ganondorf back, but by completely demonic and taboo means. I feel like that could be cool.
That would be interesting. Would be really interesting. No, you go ahead, Tree. You first.
No, I was gonna say for you guys in chat, just because I know we were talking about the next Switch and it feels like an end of an era and stuff like that, and games for this year. But do you guys have a one favorite game that came from the Switch? Your favorite game on that console? For you guys and people in chat.
Okay, yeah, everybody, chat included. Favorite game on the Switch? My favorite experience is Breath of the Wild. I don't think there's any topping it. I think Tears of the Kingdom, by the sum of its parts, is a better game to play. I like Breath of the Wild story better, but I think Tears of the Kingdom, sum of its parts, is the better game. But Breath of the Wild was it was this experience of the game I never thought was possible is here. The game that allows for open exploration that I never thought they could make is here. So I think Breath of the Wild for me is probably my favorite experience on the Switch, just because not only was it a great game, it was so game changing. But what about you guys?
I would have to say for me, I'm definitely going to go with two games on this one. That would be Tears of the Kingdom and Super Mario
Oh my God, we lost him.
Odyssey. Because Odyssey, game, because it's been a long time since we've had a 3D Mario game since since 3D Land came out on the 3DS, and then we had 3D World. But with Nintendo being able to go play ball and we're gonna give fans what we wanted for those who grew up with the N64 and with the GameCube. For us who loved Sunshine and Mario 64 and just, a little bit of sprinkle of Galaxy, we're going to give you what we wanted, like, an open sandbox for you to explore. And that's what, with Odyssey, like, delivered so perfectly well, and now, here, everybody's all asking, now that we got a new 2D Mario game, when, like, a lot of people are hoping that the next console is going to be, like, the new launch title is going to be a 3D Mario game now.
You're right, though, Kokiri. Odyssey is such a perfect mix of kind of everything.
It is.
Yeah, it's just like, it's hard to think it's like, what? It's 6 years old now?
Yeah.
Like, it still feels brand new to me, too.
Yeah, exactly. And even to this day, people are still playing Mario Odyssey to this very day.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know about you guys. It's probably my favorite 3D Mario outside of Mario 64, but that has a lot of nostalgia power holding it up. But for me, Odyssey was like my favorite 3D Mario. I thought it was so good.
Yeah.
I love Odyssey, but to me, my go, if anybody knows me, my still go 3D Mario game, my third favorite game of all time is still Galaxy 1, without a doubt. There's just so much memories there.
Classic.
Like,
yeah.
I love the first Galaxy 1.
Dude, hearing the sounds from the Wii remote and stuff like that too, it's just like, it's so, something about Galaxy. Because I remember that was the first Mario game that ever had an orchestrated piece in it.
It is. That is correct.
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck? Like, I was like, I'm having so much fun. But
well, what about you,
my
Trey?
favorite
What's your favorite?
Mine's Smash Ultimate.
Smash.
Sure.
I was gonna.
Smash.
Honestly, I couldn't guess that one.
It's okay. It's I mean, it's definitely like my favorite game of all time. Ultimate, I think. So Sora's in it.
And I guess this is my question for you. We're almost at an hour and a half, but Tree, what do they do about Smash? How do you make another Smash, dude? How do you do it? How do you do it? Nintendo gets you on the phone and they say, "We like you, kid. What do we do for the next Smash?" You have their ear. What are you telling them?
Oh. That's pressure. I don't know if I can do that. I think that whatever they do, like, they need to get Sakurai for it. Because the thing is, if you look in the past, every Smash game, even with Brawl, was like, oh, I don't know how I'm going to top that game off. And then for 3DS and Wii U, I don't know how I'm going to top that game off. Then for Ultimate, it's like, oh, I don't know what we can do. We went too crazy. We went too ham. But it's like, dude, he is like the series. And I know people complain about like the game. It's just because they're not good. But no, I think what they should do, and I know this sounds really basic, they should pull a Mario Kart on it, and they don't necessarily have to have like, this is the thing, they don't have to do a lot. They don't have to do a lot to make a lot of money, right? We don't need new characters. We don't need new stages. What would be something that would make people pay, right? A port. A port's that, it can be that simple if they wanted to do that, right? But the thing is, it's like, if they had some type of better online capability for Smash, I mean, that would be
rollback
huge
netcode
in itself. Rollback, yeah. Even if it's not rollback, yeah, the golden phrase is like Nickelodeon All Stars, but it's like it's so cool, But the thing is, it's like, part of me would want a deluxe edition with like more content, but I think they're gonna start from square one because Smash Ultimate has such a solid ending. Like, it feels so complete and finished. Mm-hmm. And if you don't realize this, in Japan, it's called Smash Bros. Special Edition, not Ultimate Edition. Ultimate, or Special Edition, meaning they ended up having all of the characters. I don't think they're going to have as nearly as much characters as the next game. They're definitely not going to have, like, as much third parties to what I think. But also, dude, it's like, it's like everyone's here. Like it's on almost the best-selling console of all time. They can't. I don't know if they can really afford to get rid of characters. So all I want is a port. All I want is to not bring my old ass Switch with me. Right?
Yeah.
That's all I want. But I think they're either going to make a brand new game with new mechanics, because when they were developing Smash Ultimate, Sakurai also talked about the capability of doing aerial smash attacks, which is like you jump up in the air, you hold smash special attack for a long time, and then you do it. Like, I think you can tell with the DLC fighters, they were implementing new
mechanics
and new mechanics in the whole game just from a character, which is pretty crazy. And I think they could really push that more if they made a new game. But you know, dude, it's like Ultimate's so perfect. It's like I don't really want a new Smash game at all. I think this one's like the meta's still changing. Like, people who are on top are losing. Like, it keeps evolving.
The game is alive. That's the thing. It's not. Right now, there's no need for it because people are still playing the game. It's still a popular game. There's still tournaments happening all over.
The tournaments aren't gonna die. Like, that's the whole thing with the whole
much to
licensing.
Nintendo's chagrin.
That's a whole nother podcast. Is that? But I do think that they should take the deluxe edition route. Sakurai even said he can't see them making a Smash game without him, which is crazy. Because even in Ultimate, they tried getting someone else, but they couldn't do a good job, so they got Sakurai again.
Yo, it sucks to be that guy.
What's up?
It sucks to be that guy. You got like the best job in the world. You got to be the new Smash guy, and you were so bad they went crying to the old guy.
Well, dude, you got to think about it. If I were that guy and they saw my work and they didn't like it and they got Sakurai, I would be kind of thankful, because I wouldn't want to be on my high horse and think I could handle it. Because I don't think anyone preps, like, no one is prepped to make a game like Kingdom Hearts, a collaboration like that, and no one is prepped to make a collaboration like Smash, like Sakurai. You know, you could kind of think about it like that.
It comes down to, when you have an artist who's running the show, when it's a Nomura, when it's a Sakurai, when it's a Kojima, when it's when it's any one of these guys who have a unique voice that just can't be replicated. It creates a lot of problems when you remove that guy from the equation. I'm sure they're going to remaster Metal Gear Solid games down to infinitum. But you watch how much trouble they have making a new one without Kojima.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Cornflake says, I'd rather work for Sakurai than take over for Sakurai. Yeah.
Dude, I wouldn't want those shoes, man.
No,
I would not.
It would not be the same without Sakurai. Smash.
No, it'd be Nickelodeon All Stars 3. No, I'm just kidding. I'm sorry.
Theo Wayne says they could just do a new Smash by focusing more on the story and less about new characters. I think so. I think the reason why you've seen Smash move away from its one-player mode, because it wants to be taken seriously as a fighting game. Like, that's where all the money and the attention and the love has gone to, is how do we make this the best fighting game we can? And Tree, like you said, you see it with a lot of the DLC characters and these new mechanics they added. It really... I think Brawl was a very unique window in the Smash time.
It was.
And I think Subspace and Mystery will forever be one of the best things Nintendo ever makes. I don't think Smash goes back there. I think when the new Smash does get here, I think the key is just first-party content. First-party characters. Put Waluigi...
You know why they didn't do that anymore at the Subspace?
Shoot.
Sakurai said he'd never do anything like Subspace Emissary ever again because it got leaked like crazy back in the day for the Wii. Yeah, that's why he said he'll never do it again. But that's
why we got World of Light.
Yeah, well, that's why we got that, but it's also like that's such a tricky thing now, man, because it's like, I don't want to say consequences, but Smash Ultimate has opened up so many doors people weren't even thinking that you can't really go back from that. Like, it's kind of hard to imagine a Smash Bros without a third-party character, or without a lot of them like
Right.
Ultimate does,
Mhm.
right? Because that's how you get people. That's how you get people into the franchises too. Like, think about all the people who started playing Kingdom Hearts because Sora got into Smash, or all the people who like, they're like, oh, Fire Emblem, Roy and Marth, I've never heard of them in Melee before. Like, let me check them out. And now
Mhm.
it's like one of the biggest Nintendo IPs. I think, their only option is to kind of go more ham with whatever they do next. I just don't know how, and I don't know who they're going to include. So, I hope they just port it and like keep it alive for a long time.
I think you could expect to see it for a long time, just because again, people are still
Yeah.
playing it. You know what I mean?
It's a system seller though, man. It's
Well-
tricky too.
Well, that's why I think if anything, what you might get, I really think you might get a new season of DLC on a new console. They might do that.
Yeah.
But I think that I see a lot of people in the chat talking about a story mode in Smash. The reason why you're not going to see it is because the reason why Subspace happened was because 99% of the roster was Nintendo. And then like the one third party character was Sonic at the end, who already had a very cozy relationship with Nintendo. I think a
Right.
lot of these, here's the thing, right? Look at Nomura. Great example. He will sign off on letting you use Cloud, Sephiroth, and Sora. But the second you want to put them in a story, you can guarantee he's going to be a 10 times the pain in the ass he was for the moveset.
Yeah.
If you want to put all these third-party characters inside of some kind of narrative, that makes the whole legality of it way more complicated, way more complex. The permissions you have to get are exponential. I think the reason why Subspace happened was because Nintendo didn't have to ask anybody, and they saved Sonic for the final scene. Like, he wasn't in Subspace until the last moment, probably because of the
Yeah.
amount of copyright that had to go through if they were going to put him in the story of some point.
Well, that's a great point, because so even when they were going through and developing Smash Ultimate, the way that Snake, he does that like chokehold and lays the person down, not only did they have to get approval from the copyright of Snake, but they had to ask every single character's IP and see if the permission for that move was appropriate or not.
Basically,
and guess
are you
what?
okay with
Square,
your IP appearing next to
right.
this IP?
And Square, Disney, and Nomura had to check how Sora looked when he was getting chokeholded by Snake. It's like little things like that that go so far over people's head, because it's like we don't realize it because it's just so good. Like, everything just feels so well put together. But like little details like that, you have to ask like all those 30 IPs in the game. So
And that's a lot of work.
That's a lot of work, and it's even like from a copyright standpoint, I don't know if it's even going to be easy to port over that game or not, too. Like, you look at games like, I think it was GTA 4 or 5, whenever they make those remakes, some of the remakes and some of the ports don't have the same music because they couldn't get the licensing right. And it's like with a game like Smash, it's a legal nightmare, bro. So I don't know. I'm optimistic though. I think whatever they do, I just want Sora in it. I really don't care.
Yeah, we all want Zora.
Yeah, exactly. We just all want him in that game, and that's it. And Cynthia from Pokemon too.
But
Should
you
fight
see,
with
like
the
right
hand.
there, you see what you just did right there? That's the key. That's the key.
Mhm.
You really dig into the first parties and pull out some fan favorites. Like,
Yeah.
it's not just Pokemon Trainer, it's Cynthia.
Cynthia.
And people
Yes.
are like,
Exactly.
whoa. And now
Right.
Luigi's in the game, and people are like, yeah.
Which is-
finally."
that-
Sakurai won't fucking do it.
That's I just don't get it. That's just so crazy.
It would be awesome. It would be awesome. All right, we are coming up on an hour and 35. I guess before anything in the chat stands out at us before we wrap up, was there anything about Nintendo's 2023 and incoming 24 that we talked about today that you guys wanted to touch on? Was there anything?
I think we cover mostly a lot of stuff, like with Tears of the Kingdom, like all the Mario games we talked about, Pikmin 4, we pretty much covered a lot, mostly, like, especially like what we got for in terms of like a lineup for 2024, like mostly what it looks like for now, mostly.
It's Mario games. Yeah, I see
Yeah.
Cornflakes has been bringing up Xenoblade a lot. I feel like I've let down the Xenoblade fans. I did not bring a Xenoblade fan into this chat, into this podcast.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
But I've been on the edge of Xenoblade. Xenoblade's one of the ones I'm like on the edge of. You know what I mean? It's one of those franchises where I'm like looking over constantly, like, what's going on over here? And then
right.
I saw, I won't say who at risk of spoilers, but I do see there is a character who's pulling a Genghis Khan out there in the world of Xenoblade, and I'm very proud of them. See, we got a sad face from Cornflakes. I didn't bring any Xenoblade fans. Maybe I'll be your Xenoblade fan one day.
So I got, because I know we're getting tight on time, so I have two quick things.
Oh, we're good. We're good.
One, we're good? Okay. So the first one is, what do you think the next Nintendo movie is going to be? Do you think it's going to be related to Mario or not? And number two, where do you guys see Animal Crossing in the future?
Oh, I love this question.
Ooh,
I love this question. So
that's a good one.
the next movie is absolutely a Mario movie. Absolutely.
Yeah.
A lot of pre-built assets already made. Hype is already there. Very
no
easy.
DK movie?
Could be a DK movie, but honestly,
DK movie.
I think the DK movie's further away than we think. I don't think he has as much star power as people think. I mean, when's the last time we even got a Donkey Kong game, let alone a movie? Now,
Exactly. True.
going into Animal Crossing, Animal Crossing will be a launch. This is my guess. Will be a launch title on the Switch Pro. Animal Crossing has such a huge audience, and there are people, we all know them, no disrespect, no shade, they're gamers just like you and me, but we know people who the only reason they have their Switch is because of Animal Crossing. That is a powerful market to tap into. And if Nintendo can launch Animal Crossing with a Mario game, then with Mario, they get all the diehards like the three of us to buy. And with Animal Crossing, they get casuals and diehards. It's just the perfect lineup. I think Animal Crossing is so big in Nintendo's future. I think it's...
Oh, yeah.
When I look at their list of IPs, it's second only to Mario.
Dude,
Animal
a movie
Crossing
or show would be kind of crazy.
Movie or show would be crazy,
Animal
and they
Crossing.
could pull it off. But at this point, Animal Crossing is bigger than Zelda. Like, no disrespect.
Kind of true.
It is.
And it's kind of the one thing that people do tend to forget about is that and this was only released in Japan, but Animal Crossing actually did have a movie back in the day.
Really?
Yeah, Animal Crossing did have a movie. It was based off of Wild World, but I don't remember what the name of it is called. I think somebody here in chat might know what it is. Y'all probably might know what I'm talking about. But there is a movie. And it only came into Japan. It never came anywhere else. Like, it's been dubbed like on YouTube, by the fans themselves.
That's crazy. I have to check that out. I didn't know there was a
real?
fandom
Damn.
out there. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, I used to see it a long time ago, but yeah, there is legit a movie out there for Animal Crossing.
Well, good. I think it's one of the... Look, I love Animal Crossing. I've been playing since GameCube. I genuinely
Same,
love the
bro.
series.
I still have my copy. I still have it.
I hope they keep it up. Josh Z. Go ahead, Tree.
Is that the one?
Yeah, that's it. That's the one.
Yo, why does that look so good?
That looks so good.
But
wow.
Yeah, that's it.
Yo, Tree, send me that link. Send me that missing link, bro. Send me that missing
I've
link.
never seen that.
Dude, Hopper's my boy, dude. Hopper's my boy.
Here, I got you. I'll send it to you.
All right, a lot of love.
missing
Everybody in the chat, please give some love to Josh C, who's thrown another $5 super chat at us. Says people think Nintendo... Oh, that's a lot of love. Thank you, Kokiri. He deserves it. Josh says people think Nintendo is strict about copyright because they hate their fans, but they only want to protect their trademarks. Yeah, look, it's a nuanced deal with Nintendo. I think there's a degree to their practices that are completely acceptable and completely understandable when it comes to protecting their IP. But I think they go too far. I think they go way too far to the point that like content creators are hesitant to make content just because the possibility it gets taken down, copyright claimed, muted. You're playing with fire anytime you touch a Nintendo product as a creator. Now that's just the small world of content creation. That's a small fraction of the fan base. But then you think about all these people who they want to do Smash tournaments. They want to celebrate the game you made them, and they're going out of their way to shut it down. Now, again, there are things Nintendo does protecting their copyright that are perfectly acceptable. I just think my opinion is they just go too far, but they're always acting within their legal bounds. Nintendo's never pulling a Disney and changing the rules of the game, by lobbying through Congress. I'm sure Nintendo has their dealings with the Yakuza over in Japan, don't get me wrong. But at the end of the day, everything they do, they kind of have the legal bounds to do it. And we also have to understand here in the West, our idea of creative freedom is very different than what goes on in the East.
Yeah.
And in the East, they look at content creators and are like, how are they able to make money off that? They're showing clips of something that isn't even their work. And we could debate whether or not that's right or wrong. But
this guy's allowed to mod his console, blah blah blah.
Yeah, why is this guy allowed to mod
like
his
there's
console?
so
Yeah.
like people making money in America for Smash tournaments is so obscure to people in Japan. It's
Yeah.
like it's
They
it's
literally go,
not,
how
but
is
they
that not
but they're
illegal?
but exactly
Yeah.
exactly yeah. So like that, because that's why a lot of like people from Japan come over here for tournaments, because like we have big prize pools and stuff like that, because they consider it gambling over there too, like anything. So I think they're trying to bring that, like, the rule set for tournaments over here as well, because they're making these licenses come out, and it's like it's a whole weird thing with like Nintendo Japan and Europe and America. It's just like the rules they set, it's like we're just gonna wait and see what happens. But yeah, it's I mean, it's a totally different vibe too. So like, you're not allowed to mod your console over there, and I'm over here, playing as Winnie the Pooh in Smash Bros, saying, "Oh dear," throwing Piglet across the stage, and is my tummy's rumbly now,
I'm very sick.
Can you say that again, please?
Oh dear, I'm very, very sick.
Why does that make me think about Pooh and Sephiroth, the cursed Twitter picture?
Oh no! That was so cool.
Oh, God.
How about the Sephiroth?
Oh, God. What's worse, Nintendo copyright or Toei copyright? Oh, God, Toei all day. Toei all day is worse than Nintendo.
Kokiri, I know you're still thinking about it.
I'm trying so hard. I'm trying so hard to keep us moving. And you guys are making that extremely difficult for me.
I think he's broken. Oh my god. No, Falsey.
My man. Nelly! What's up, man? But I think you can, like... But I think there was someone, like... But even then, it's like, there were people going to jail for modding their Switch in Japan. It's like, yeah, it's illegal here, but, like, that would not happen.
I've been muted. I unmuted myself. We're good.
Oh, how long were you muted for?
Not very long. I was
okay.
coughing a little bit.
Oh,
But
you're
we're good now. I honestly, the truth is, I purposely mute myself so the chat blows up saying Landy's muted and it boosts me in the algorithm. Works every time. Works every time, kids. Anyway, what was I saying? I forgot. Anyway,
Modded Switch.
modded switches. Yeah, dude, it's crazy stuff. It's crazy stuff. What a stretch.
Imagine going to jail after downloading the Winnie the Pooh mod.
Can you imagine, like, what are you in for? I downloaded a Winnie the Pooh mod on my Nintendo Switch. So I was like, all right, this is my prison bitch now. He's here for Winnie the Pooh crimes.
Right? That is so true.
Like, you would out yourself immediately. Like, anyone in Japan who's in jail for a modded Switch is a prison bitch. Make no mistake.
Why? That's so true. Landy, I would love to have your mind for one day, bro. Just one day.
Handle it.
Just to think like that.
You couldn't handle it. It would drive you insane. Do you know how many years it took me to tame this brain? So many. So many.
Man. Gosh.
Christopher James F says, don't drop the soap. Yeah, no. If you're a modder, don't drop the soap.
Yeah, you'll get that honey. Yeah, you'll. Sorry.
Anyway. All right, Princess Kyora says, hey guys, what do you think of this possibility? Metroid Prime 4 being a launch title?
Hi, Kai.
Howdy, Kai.
I actually think that would be a huge mistake. I think that would be a huge mistake. Because I think Metroid's audience is more niche, and I think if you're going to try and sell Metroid Prime 4 after all these years, you got to launch it when there isn't another big story, right? If you launch it alongside a Mario game, it makes it so much less likely we play it, right? I assume everyone here is a casually into Metroid, at most. And as someone who's casually into Metroid, if there's like a Mario game or an Animal Crossing game or another IP anywhere near that Metroid Prime game, I'm not going to play it. But if you could release it at a time where it's like imagine releasing Metroid Prime 4 6 months after the Switch dropped. When you were done with Breath of the Wild, you were done with Mario, and you're like, what do I do? There's all these indie games that kind of suck, and I've already played Breath of the Wild for 300 hours. What do I do? That, to me, would be the best time to drop Metroid Prime 4.
You guys... Oh, go ahead, Kokiri.
I was gonna bring up an example of like a weird timing. Like, for example, like honestly, I know this is not Nintendo, even though this game was on a Nintendo console, but it was kind of weird, like how both Sonic Superstars and Mario Wonder dropped on the same week. Mm-hmm. Like, that was like a weird move, like to make it have two games, like even though with one of them just being multi-platform.
That's true. You guys want to hear a crazy story real quick?
Go for it.
Okay. So this was a while ago. This was maybe like, I don't know, like two years ago or something. I went on a date with this girl, and she was telling me that she was a graphic designer. And I said, "Oh, that's awesome. Cool. Where do you work?" She goes, "I work at Retro Studios." And I said, "You work at Retro Studios?" She said, "Yeah." And I said, "Oh." And I said, "So I'm like a big nerd." And she starts laughing. She goes, "Are you going to ask about Metroid Prime 4? And I was like,
"Did you? Come on.
How did you know?"
Did you?
And she said,
Tree, are you
and
kidding
she
me?
said,
"Are you? Go ahead."
And she said, "Don't. It's okay. I fumbled the bag." And she told. She said, "Yeah, my friends always give me shit about it all the time." And I'm like,
as they should.
And I said, "So what do you say?" And she was like, "Well, I can't say anything." And I said, "I understand. It's all good." She goes, and she looks at me and says, "But I work at Retro Studios." And I was like,
Yeah, she gave you the sauce. She gave you the sauce right
yeah.
there.
She gave me the sauce.
She gave you the sauce.
She gave me the sauce.
All right, you got a little
She
bit.
was
You got a
tell-
little bit of a
Right.
scoop. You got a little bit of a
Got-
scoop. Hey, yo,
got-
big
I got
shout
a
out to
little bit.
BioRoxas. Just rated us on Twitch.
Oh,
Party
let's
in
go,
19.
Bio.
What's
Let's
up,
go,
Bio?
Bio.
Everybody's got to check out Bio. He's playing Final Fantasy 13 too, which
I love
underrated. Anyway,
Bio's the goat. The goat.
that's because he's the GOAT.
The goat.
All right.
Oh man.
Well, on that note, I think it's. Oh my God, Nelly Belly says that's why you date women you meet at Burger King. Get out.
It's okay. Everyone has a type, Nelly. It's okay.
Tree likes them burger bitches. That's his type. Anyway, Burger King bitches aside, I think it's time we wrap this one up before it goes even further off the rails than it already has. Tree, Kokiri, where can people find you? What can they expect from you? What do you do? Give us the scoop.
Okay. Yeah, you can find me on Twitch and Twitter. You know, if you love all things Zelda, I'm your man. I also love some good Mario, Kingdom Hearts. I'm also getting into Final Fantasy for the first time. Definitely leading into with Final Fantasy.
Yeah. Where are you gonna start?
Well, I know a few years ago I did start with 7 Remake, and last year I did play Crisis Core. But in terms of outside of 7. If you want to see somebody play 10 for the first time,
Yo, let's go, Kokiri.
it's coming.
Let's go,
It's
dude.
coming. HD Remaster 10, by the way.
Oh yeah, let's go. I'll be there.
I'll be ready for it.
What about you, Tree?
Did you guys see that FF7 and FF8 like box Japan
Yes,
got for the Switch?
I want it.
Dude, it's like, man, that was a physical release, wasn't it?
Yep.
That shit's cool, man. But anyway, yeah, what's up, guys? My name's Treehouse. Hi. Past hour and a half, 2 hours, I don't know anymore. You can find me on Twitch at treehouse_TTV. Same tag for Twitter, Instagram. I play a lot of Smash. If you dare to look at my Twitter, it's a lot of just spam Pokemon and Kingdom Hearts stuff. But I have some really cool content I'm in the works for making, especially Kingdom Hearts. So yeah, please make sure to check out my channels, and I do some mod videos for Smash Bros. Involving a lot of Kingdom Hearts stuff. And yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Well then, ladies and gentlemen, it's been real. If you're hanging out with us on Twitch, please stick around for the raid. We're gonna raid. Let's see. Who's hanging out? We're gonna raid Cynic. I love raiding Cynic. I raid him all the time, but I
Nice.
can't help it.
Also, real quick, Tree, you're getting called out saying that you also like Terra.
Tree does love
I
Tara.
love Tara.
This is so
I do
weird.
love
Saying
Tara.
I'm already rating.
Oh,
Cynic.
my
But
bracelet's here. Violin sent my bracelet back.
Oh, you actually got it back? It's
Ooh.
not you lies. I'll
show you.
I'm not even gonna let him prove it on camera. He's a liar. Anyway, everybody, thank you so much for hanging out. This was a great episode. It's good. As much as I love talking Kingdom Hearts and Final Fantasy on the podcast, it was good to mix it up and talk a little Nintendo. I do want to give Treehouse a chance to come back, but I also love the idea of ending the podcast before he can prove it to the audience. But anyway, thanks everybody for hanging out. We're out of here. Goodbye.